Hello, and today I'm going to be doing Chapter 1, Lesson 1, The Rich Don't Work for Money. This is chapter summary, and this is the study of Chapter 1, Lesson 1. So, this is the summary of Chapter 1 and all its pages. So, like and subscribe. Chapter summary. When he was 9 years old, Robert Kiyosaki and his childhood friend weren't invited to a classmate's beach house because they were poor kids in an affluent school. After being told by his poor dad, his father who was a teacher and made a good living, but always struggled to make ends meet, to simply go and make money, he and his friends, Mike, did just that. They collected empty toothpaste tubes, which at the time were made of lead. They melted them down and used plaster molds to make counterfeit nickels. They were soon set straight by Robert's dad, who told them they should talk to Mike's dad, who never finished 8th grade, but ran multiple successful businesses. Mike's dad, the rich dad of the book title, agreed to teach them, but on his terms. He had them work 3 hours every Saturday morning at one of his convenience stores, dusting the food packaging and cleaning. He paid them 10 cents an hour, which Robert usually spent on 10-cent comic books. Fairly quickly, Robert grew disenchanted with the boring work and low pay. When he told his friend he was going to quit, Mike told him that his dad said that would happen and that Robert needed to meet with him. Robert's dad, as a school teacher, used lectures, but Mike's dad was a man of few words and taught in a very different way, which Robert was about to find out. The next Saturday morning, Robert went to meet Mike's dad, but kept waiting in a dusty, dark living room for an hour. He was fed up and emotional by the time he got to complain to Mike's dad, accusing him of being greedy and not showing any respect. When he said Mike's dad hadn't taught him anything, despite their agreement, the business owner calmly disagreed. His rich dad explained that life doesn't teach you with words, but by pushing you around. Some people let life push them around, others get angry and push back against their boss or their loved ones. But some people learn a lesson from it, and in fact, welcome life pushing them around because it means they need to learn something. Those who don't learn that lesson spend their lives blaming everyone else and waiting for a big break, or decide to play it safe and never risk or win big. He told Robert that he and Mike were the first people who had ever asked him to teach them how to make money. He had more than 150 employees, and though they had asked for a job, they had never asked for the knowledge that Robert and Mike wanted. So the rich dad decided to create a course that mirrored life and pushed the boys around a little. Robert asked what lesson he'd learned other than his rich dad was cheap and exploited his workers. The rich dad challenged him on this, saying that most people blamed others when in fact their attitude was the problem. Well, it solved the problem, his brain, Mike's dad told him. He wanted Robert to learn how money worked so he could make it work for him. He was also glad that Robert was angry, because anger combines with love to create a passion, a key component of learning. Money wouldn't solve people's problems, he went on. Many people who have a high-paying job still struggle with money problems, like Robert's poor dad, because they didn't know how to make money work for them. He said that the emotions Robert had felt working for those 10 cents an hour, disappointment, and feeling like it wasn't enough, all of it he'd feel like his whole life if he didn't learn this lesson now. He introduced Robert to the concept of taxes, explaining that the poor and middle class allow the government to tax them, but the rich don't. He asked Robert if he still had a passion to learn. When he said yes, the rich dad told him he was going to stop paying him for work at the store. He told Robert to use his head to figure it out. Robert and Mike worked for free for 3 weeks. Mike's dad showed up and took them outside for a talk, asking them if they'd learned anything yet. They hadn't. The rich dad told them if they didn't learn this lesson, they'd be like most people who worked hard for little money their whole lives. He offered them 25 cents an hour, which they resisted. He upped it to $1 an hour, then $2, but Robert stayed silent. A final offer of $5 an hour, a priceless sum that at that time solidified for Robert that he wouldn't be bought. It might not sound like a lot of money back then, but it was like a lot of money back then when Robert was a little kid. So, yeah, that's why it was a lot for him. The rich dad said it was a good It was good they didn't have a price. Most people did because their lives are controlled by fear and greed. Fear of being without makes them work hard and earn a paycheck. But once they have that money, greed gets them thinking about all the things they could buy, which makes them need more money, which makes them spend more. It's what the rich dad called the rat race. He told the boys that the first step was admitting to themselves what they were feeling. Too often, people reacted to their emotions instead of thinking logically. They're afraid to admit money is running their lives, and so money controls them. It's not just the poor who face that fear. The rich often operate from a place of fear. He wanted to teach the boys to not just be rich because money doesn't solve the problem. School is important, he told them, but for most people it's the end, not the beginning. And the key for the boys was to learn how to use their emotions to think, not to think with their emotions. They must learn how to choose their thoughts. He told them to keep an eye out for ways to make money, saying, the moment you see one opportunity, you'll see them for the rest of your life. The boys did, and soon they saw an opportunity in creating a library where kids could pay an admission fee and read as many comic books as they could in 2 hours. Unsold comic books that otherwise would have been thrown away from the convenience store. They made a great profit, and the business did well for about 3 months until a fight in the library shut it down. But they'd learned the first lesson of making money work for them, even when they weren't physically present. They were ready to learn more, and Mike's dad was ready to teach them. Left hemisphere moment. Despite having a high-paying job, people like Robert's poor dad struggled to make ends meet. Right hemisphere moment. Looking at the discarded comic books in a new creative way led to a business opportunity. Subconscious moment. People let the emotions of fear and greed rule their lives. Okay, so that's my part. So like and subscribe. Bye!